Now we are on page 49 and we're going to talk about drawing shapes. Open up Illustrator and the directions say create a new file that's 300 by 300 pixels. And we are going to call this Shapes 2 because the original shapes we did with the pen tool. And click OK. The directions say click on the rectangle tool, which is M as in man. On the toolbar you have different options. You got the rectangle tool, rounded rectangle tool, ellipse tool, which is circles, shortcut is L, polygonal tool, star tool, and flare tool. So we're going to go over some of these shapes. With the rectangle tool, I want you to position the pointer where you want to begin and drag it diagonally to create a rectangle. It gives you a lot of freedom. You could do a rectangle or a perfect square. Now holding down Shift, everybody, keeps it in proportion like a perfect square. You release Shift and it goes back to where you can modify it. So create a perfect square and drag to the desired shape. You can also double click and it'll let you type in the desired height and width. Like if I want to change that to 20 or 200, it'll let me do a new shape, the desired height and width. Now a shape can also be created by dragging from the center and holding down the Alt key while creating a shape. Let's say I wanted to create a square around this square, perfectly centered around it. If you hold down the Alt key, it does it from the center out instead of diagonally. So holding down the Alt key lets you go from the center out. Now holding down Alt and Shift keeps it perfectly square. I got a white fill so it covered up the previous square. What key makes it transparent?
3.
Forward slash. So click forward slash and now it's transparent in the middle and you can see the rectangle behind it. Yeah, it looks like a picture frame now. Now I can use my arrow keys and adjust to make it look a little more perfect and centered. So we're going to repeat steps 2 through 4 using the rounded rectangle, ellipse tools to draw them. Let's choose the rounded rectangle. Now if you hold down Shift, it makes a perfect circle. Release and it makes it more elongated. So practice drawing some of these shapes here. Rounded rectangle. Use the ellipse tool, holding down Shift, holding down Alt. Like I could draw a. So you can draw all kinds of cool shapes, and Shift keeps it in proportion, Alt makes it centered. I'm going to click on the polygon tool now. Drag to create a polygon. Now this is a shape with many sides. Here's a trick though. You can adjust how many sides you want with the arrow key. If I do the arrow down, it'll make a triangle. Arrow up, a square, more. Each time it adds a side, each time I arrow up. So you can just keep adding. So like earlier when we tried to do an octagon, we could have done this and made it more perfect. Now if you hold down Shift, perfectly proportioned. Now one other trick is you double click and you can change the sides manually. You can change the radius and it adds a new one exactly as you specified. So if you want to draw something real quick, you can do that. So draw shapes of varying numbers of sizes for practice. The next one, click on the star tool and you can create some stars. Come out with some interesting designs. Now clicking the up and down key again, like you can do like a Chinese star or a regular star. The Walmart Blue Star Special there. But the more you press up, the more angles on the star. And then the last tool is the flare tool. Now I don't even know why it's the flare tools with the shapes, but it creates a little like light flare there, and you can play around with that. To get you more options, you can double click on the flare tool and specify as well to change that up. Just before we quit, I want to go show you some things. Now I'm going to select some shapes, and if you go to the go Window, Swatches. Now you got different swatch panels. You can do different shapes. You got different library swatches, like different colors. You got like metals, metal colors. Shapes, patterns, whatever. So you can do different fills and stuff. And that is it. Like, let's say you're doing an assignment, which you're about to do, where you got to create shapes. Now you want like desks that are all the same color. Here's another trick. Let's say I want an exact copy of this. I want to get the selection tool, and I hold down Option. It makes a copy. As long as I have Option, I just keep making copies. I want to make a copy of this one. I'm going to select it, hold down Option. It makes a copy. You can just select it, hold down Option, make a copy. You can hold down the handles, resize it, reshape it. That's a trick that works in almost most of the Adobe softwares. Holding down Option makes an exact duplicate. Hold down Option, there you go. As long as it's selected. Oh, sometimes too you get in the layer mode. You might need to click this arrow here and go back, and everything looks normal again. We're going to save this, File, Save As, Shapes 2, click Save, Replace, there you go. And that is all there is to it.
Thank you all for watching.
Hey class, if you like this video, please click like below and subscribe to this channel. Also, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.